What's up, Gruntworks Nation? The Big Earl is always asking, why is China hoarding food? Experts say that China is hoarding a massive amount of food. They will soon have over two-thirds of the globe's corn reserves, over half of its rice, and over half of its wheat. But when asked about it, China lies. One China expert says they, of course, will never admit to something like that. Well, what does China know that we don't? When it comes to global food shortages, China is the canary in the coal mine. You see, China is the world's number one food importer. They rely on the rest of the world to keep their people fed. So they can't afford to mess up, or there will be riots, civil panic, or even worse, when over a billion people can't eat. What does this mean for Americans like you and me? Two words: food shortages. That's why it's a smart idea to stock up on a kit of best selling Four Patriots survival food. Create your own stockpile of the best selling Four Patriots survival food kits, hand packed in the USA. The kits are compact and stack easily. They have different delicious breakfasts, lunches, and dinners. And their 5-star reviews on the website rave about the flavor and the taste. Right now, you can get 10% off your first purchase of Four Patriots survival food by typing in the code VTTGW at checkout. Just go to 4patriots.com and use the code VTTGW to get 10% off your first purchase of Four Patriots survival food. That's 4patriots.com. Use the code VTTGW.
Hey, what's up, Mental Health Nation? Hope everybody's having a great Wednesday. Thanks for tuning in. Hope everybody had a great New Year. It was safe and a lot of fun. I'm here in Italy, so it's a little bit late. It's about 9:17. We decided to start a little bit early. Chris got off work early, and so I'm okay with that. You guys can always watch the podcast whenever you want. But hey, it's real important. Continue to support us here at Veterans Trash Talk. Go to Four Patriots. There's a code running down at the bottom. You can type or website, type that in, and you'll be able to save some money on it, get that food ordered, because you never know when you're gonna have power outages. You never know when a storm's gonna happen, so it's always good to be prepared. Lynn, my partner, she's probably gonna jump in here any minute. She had an appointment, was running a little bit late, so she'll probably just chime in when she can. But I hope everybody's having a good New Year's. I hope you made that good Year's resolution. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on in the show. It's important not to set the bar too high, right? Because you can kind of set yourself up for failure. But I'll talk about what I kind of did on New Year's and stuff and see what happens. And let's see if Lynn's going to make it in here. Nope. Oh, she had an appointment. I brought up the wrong thing. Let's see here. My internet's not working right. There we go. There we go. Got it. I was looking at the last week's show. So if you watched last week's show, it was a good show. Had the retired police officer on, the sheriff's guy. He had a very moving story. But one thing he brought up, and I want to talk about that real quick as I recap. You can go back and watch last week's podcast. Is he talked about accountability, because he said, when he was going through what he was going through, and he wasn't doing his time cards exactly right, and he got dinged for that. He went from being a team leader to back, to being kind of like the new guy on the block. And he said that was a hard pill to swallow, but he swallowed that for 3 years. And that really touched home to me because I got it. I have post-traumatic stress syndrome. I have TBI. I have had a lot of things. But at some point and sometimes in my career or in my life, I had to take accountability for what I did, for the decisions I made, right or wrong or indifferent. And that really brought something home. And I think when you're going through recovery, you're going through different things. I think that's something that gets slides through the cracks. That personal accountability sometimes is a hard pill to swallow. It's hard to look inward. It's hard to say, maybe some of the issues I'm having is my fault because I'm not really looking, into myself as much as I should. I'm not accepting that maybe some of the things happened to me was because of what I did or decisions I made as myself. And that just really touched me for him just to stay up and to say that, to say, hey, part of my recovery and getting better was I had to accept responsibility of those decisions that I made that cost me not really his career, but it cost him to do 3 more years and maybe a reduction in retirement pay. I don't know exactly what he said, but that just really touched me, and I really thought about that a lot this week, and decisions I make and things that go on. Uh, you know, could I have done things differently or said things differently, and maybe I couldn't. Sorry, I didn't get my mic up here. So I just thought that was important to bring up today as we jump into the show. But like I said earlier, I hope everybody had a good New Year's Eve. I hope it was a lot of fun. This is my first New Year's Eve here in Italy, and I tell you something, it was off the chain. Now we didn't do anything. We didn't go out. We stayed here at the house. But something I learned very interesting. We went out and drove around Italy at night. I'm down here at Naples, and they got fireworks stores, just like they do in the US. But they sell crazy fireworks. So, watch this video. This went on for 2 hours. Just go ahead and
This has been going on for
that was crazy. I had never, because that wasn't a city doing that. I mean, some of it was probably the city or the municipalities doing it, but that was mainly families who bought those fireworks and were setting those fireworks off. And like I said, that went on till about 2 o'clock in the morning, Central European time. It's even started raining, and they stopped for a little bit while it was raining. As soon as it quit raining, they started back up again. But what a huge celebration! It kind of reminded me back home when I was a kid, and we'd all get together and set the fireworks off on New Year's, or mom would get the pans out, and we'd bang pans around the house when we were little kids and stuff, and that was just really fun. But I was really thrown back by that because I didn't know how they celebrated New Year's here in Italy. I had no idea, but they do the fireworks, and as you can see, they do them quite well. I was pretty amazed by that. But with New Year's, a lot of that's we're 2024 now, so you got to put 2023 in the past, and hopefully you've moved on for whatever trauma and things you dealt with. But one thing I talked about on my mental health minute is, hey Jeremy, thanks for tuning in. Is I talked about, it's okay to congratulate yourself. It's okay to look inside yourself and things like that. And that's kind of the theme that I got going on tonight. And and be proud of yourself, right? Because sometimes we're not proud of ourselves when we do something good, right? We're our own worst enemy. I'm my own worst enemy. I've always been. I'm getting a lot better at it, but it's something I've really had to work on. And so something I'm very proud of, and I'm going to have Chris throw that photo up, and I'm going to talk about it, is Chris, you can go ahead and throw the photo up. Thanks, man. Yeah. So what you're looking at there is, if you have an iWatch, that is the monthly challenges for 2023. So all of last year, last January, my goal was to close that each and every month, which, as you can see, I completed. And so if you have an iWatch, he's counting them now. See, it's all 12. And it wasn't easy. That wasn't always easy with the move and everything. I almost didn't make December, but I buckled down and I made it. And that was one of the goals that I had set for myself last January, was I was going to complete each and every one of those challenges on my iWatch, and I did it. My goal that I set for myself this year was a little bit different. So I'm very proud of myself. That wasn't easy to do. And then so I'll give myself a pat on the back. Good job, Cliff. Way to go. Thumbs up. Is, here in Italy is try new things, right? And so, one of the things that I'm going to do is try to do something new every day. Now, I've started back to the gym working out. That's something that I wasn't able to do for a while, just with the moving stuff. So I've started running, and I went to the gym on Tuesday and did the bike and then lifted weights. Took today off, and tomorrow I'll go in and do the same thing. I'll probably won't bike. I'll probably do something else. But I walk to the gym. It's about it's 0.79 mile, not quite a full mile, but 75% of a full mile. And then I work out, do some cardio, and then I'll come back, walk back to the apartment. And so on Friday, Junior and I is going to go with a group to go to downtown Naples to kind of learn how to do shopping and stuff like that. And then Saturday, we're taking off and going to Rome for 4 days to do some touring. So we'll take a 2-hour train ride up to Rome and then go see the Colosseum and stuff. And I'll post pictures about it. It's a little unnerving though, because my wife, she speaks fluent Italian. She was here before. I don't speak any Italian. I speak German. Forgot most of my German, but if I was in Germany, it would come back to me. So once Junior leaves on the 12th and goes back to college, I'll start my Italian classes. So then I can kind of learn Italian, because I want to learn and then get my driver's license so I can start driving and just kind of, I'll spend the day driving around to get to know the place. Because that's one thing I did when I first moved to DC is I, on the weekends, just before GPS and all that stuff, had MapQuest, is I would literally go out and drive around Washington, D.C. in the mornings when traffic wasn't bad. So I learned how to drive. So I could get anywhere around Washington, D.C. because I did that. And just kind of memorized how to get places. So I'll do similar to here in Italy. The roads are kind of, I don't know if anybody had their listening's ever been to Italy, but the roads are kind of goofy. Of course, the road signs are different, but not too much because I drove in Germany. So I kind of know the road signs. But it is interesting, though, that my wife bought a little Toyota Yaris diesel. And it's a cute little car, and I kind of gave her crap about it before I got out here. But it's a good little car. And when you're driving in Italy, having that nice little itty bitty car going around these narrow streets that people are coming down with cars parked on this side facing the wrong way, and it's not really 2 lanes, and they're not slowing down and you're not slowing down. It's like mass confusion, but somehow they make it work. It's kind of like driving in DC, but maybe a little bit worse. Not as much, a lot more traffic, but the traffic seems to flow a little bit better. So being that little Toyota Yaris is small, and maybe I'll post a picture of it, it's easy to get around, and being diesel is kind of odd. But it is a little bit different to drive out here. They park differently. We went to a mall, and I was laughing because my truck, if you remember my truck, I wouldn't even make it pulling into the parking lot. That's how small it was. And literally you had enough space to maneuver to get into your spot, and barely enough space to open up your doors. But they packed all those cars in there. I mean, everybody had small cars, so it kind of worked. But out here, I think for us, when we travel go long distances, we won't be driving. We'll take the train or fly or do something. So I'm super excited. I want to go to Greece. My family's from Tripoli, Greece. I've never been Tripoli, so I want to go there and visit my family home. I think that's important to learn about the heritage. My mom was first generation to the country. We don't know a lot about our family from Greece, so I think I'll probably get my older brother to fly out and do that. And of course, I want to fly over to Egypt, see the Great Pyramids, and some other things. So I really want to do a good European tour while we're here for 3 years, and because I think it's important, right? We got a good opportunity to come in. I just hit my green screen, so let me fix it. But what is your New Year's resolution? What do you think you're going to do this year? What goals did you set for yourself? And if you read my little blurb that I put out, I talked about not setting too big of goals, right? Because I think for a lot of people that, especially if you're struggling, if you set too big of goals, sometimes you set yourself up for failure. And I'm a big fan of setting up small goals. And for me, it's what am I going to do different today? And now, of course, we just moved to Italy. I haven't been here for not quite 2 weeks yet, a little bit over 2 weeks. So I've been, every day I work on getting the apartment put together from all the stuff we moved. And you guys all know when you PCS, a lot of boxes to do. It's very stressful. We haven't lived in the same household for almost 3 years. And so we have to reintegrate me back into the household. But also Lloyd and his mom has been set. His mom and I haven't been together for 3 years. She lived in Rhode Island, I lived in Virginia. You guys know that. But Lloyd and I was together for almost 3 years, and we had our own routine, and that kind of got messed up with him and his mom. Not messed up, but different. Hey, Brian, what's going on? And so now we have to reintegrate that, and that's pretty stressful. And anybody who's been in the military or a veteran, you understand that when you PCS and you move back into your house after being separated for a while, it's hard, especially if you're deployed or other things. And of course, she may get deployed while we're out here, but it's any more pressure on me to learn Italian as quick as I can. So, because I want to travel and go and do things. And so, we've kind of gone through that. So it's been a little bit stressful at times, but we'll get it figured out. And like I talked to Lloyd tonight, he got a little upset after school. Hey buddy, we'll go get it figured out. And his grades aren't quite as good as they was at his private school, but he's in a bigger class and other things. And it's just having that conversation with him to let him know that it's okay. Everything's new. We're trying to figure everything out. Now Dad's in town, so things changed again. And so we're just trying to work that through. But with New Year's Eve and with January 2024, with all the things going on in the world and everything, just kind of don't set yourself up for failure. Set yourself up for success. And so try to think of something small you can do to get a win and kind of build off that. It's something that I've had to learn to do and something that I found to be very successful. So I said I was going to try new things. The last podcast, I was drinking wine, which I'm not a big wine drinker, but the wine out here is pretty good. Anytime you go to a pizza place or whatever, they want to serve you wine. And we went to one a couple of days ago, and it was just the owner of this pizza place was awesome. He had the clay oven, and he still used wood. He hadn't converted it to gas, so he made all of his pizzas by burning wood. And he had house wine, but a friend of his made it, so it wasn't as strong as wine you buy from the stores. Probably maybe only 6% or maybe 7-8% wine, but it's pretty good wine. And he was just so fun with the kids. He'd let Lloyd go back and make his own pizza, and the other kids that was with us. And it was just kind of fun. It kind of reminded me of growing up as a kid and being back. But so I've been trying wines, and then we went to the Italian grocery store because it's a lot cheaper than going on base. And you guys know that in Europe, a lot of the Gomo stuff that you get in the States, it's outlawed here, so you don't get it here. So I try to shop out of the market. But they had this, I don't know, this Best Brow beer. It's a dark beer, and it's dark. And so I've been trying it, and it's actually pretty good. It reminds me of a Guinness without the bite that a Guinness has. Guinness has a hard aftertaste. To me, it does. This has that, but without it. And, I like dark beer, so it's all good. But what I forgot to mention is that, so as you set your goals up, look for little wins. And so what could a little win be? Well, it could be something as simple as maybe set a budget for yourself this month. Maybe go to Starbucks less. Maybe it's, try to do coupons. I never did coupons at a store. And I kind of learned how to do coupons, not so much at him, but before. Or, maybe it's doing that one project around the house that you've been putting off. Maybe it's replacing the faucet in the bathroom, or maybe it's, working on your car or tuning your car up, or, anything, something small that you can do to make yourself feel really good about yourself and give you a thumbs up. I know there's a lot of veterans out there and a lot of Vietnam vets and stuff. And maybe if you get somebody like that that's in your neighborhood, maybe go and help them out. volunteer some time. That could be a good win for you. But just find something small you can do. But for your mental health, I know for a lot of people, because the sunlight's less, it's cold, the weather's not so great, your mental health can suffer. And so what you need to do is try to find things that help with your mental health. And one things that I do obviously is I exercise. Now I have a lot of injuries. A lot of veterans have a lot of injuries. So I run some, I walk some. I do strength training because I think it's important. And so I try to lift weights at least twice a week, at least mostly 3 times a week. Sometimes only twice. Sometimes I can only do it once a week because I'm just too sore. But I always at least try to do it, and it just kind of makes me feel better. And sometimes I'm just too sore to run. My knees hurt or my hips hurt. And so I go for a walk or I do elliptical. I do something. But the most important thing that I've learned in my journey with the mental health warrior and PTSD and being a suicide survivor. And my temp was last month in 2002. Is I had to learn that if I'm having anxiety or thoughts run through my head, is I need to change what I'm thinking about or the environment that I'm in. And so one thing I learned, and it was told to me by a friend of mine, is if you're in a room, and I talk about this a lot, get up and leave that room, go to a different room, go outside and go for a walk. 2 days ago, I went and I lifted weights, and they kind of had different machines, but I need to keep the muscles strengthened in my back because I had issues to my C4 through C7. I haven't had Botox. I've gone off all medications. I take no medications anymore. I eat lemon seeds in the morning that helps with pain when I take my lemon water. And we can get into a whole new talk about that. You can Google that, taking lemon water for your liver, but eating the seeds for pain, lemon seeds. Anyway, I take no medications anymore, but that was a long process in working with my doctor to get off of that. I haven't had Botox in 8 months, and that was something I'd switched to. But as long as I work out and keep the muscle strong in my back, I can kind of keep my nerves from firing. But I did a new exercise on Tuesday. And so today I was having a lot of nerve pain that would fire across my chest. And that used to really bother me because I thought I was having a heart attack or something serious was going on. It would give me a lot of anxiety. And I had to learn to work through that because one thing my doctor told me is, well, if you have heart issues, it's not going to go away by you turning your head or moving something different. So one thing I had to learn is not sitting here on my phone a whole lot, because sitting in this position, moving my thumb aggravates my nerve, and I start having problems, and my hand will actually go numb. That kind of gives me a cue that I need to set my phone down and do something if I'm doing posting. So I try to reduce the amount of time on my phone. So if you guys have seen less postings from me, that's why, because I'm trying to reduce the time that I'm on my phone, but also holding the phone for a long period of time affects my nerves in my neck by sitting like this. And so I had to change that. So that's something small I did. And I try to do that, just to help out and make myself feel more better and more healthier. One thing that I talked about too is I used to drink a lot every day. I don't do that anymore. I can go days and weeks and months without drinking. Probably not so much in Italy, because why would you do that? But they drink wine here and beer, and they don't really drink hard liquor, so it's okay. I'll stick with this dark beer because it's pretty good. But just a note, if you come out and visit me in Italy, you need to bring some 10th Mountain bourbon with you. Just go ahead and sneak that in your suitcase and bring it with you. That'll be the price of admission to come to my apartment because I don't have any out here and I kind of miss it. So, think about, what you can do to get those small wins, because when everybody be positive, when everybody have a great 2024, it's going to be a crazy year. We all know that now. It's election year coming up, and you guys are watching the news. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on, and I'm not going to get political. I'm not going to go down that road, but I'm just going to say, hey, you need to be prepared. You need to take care of yourself, take care of your family, and let's keep checking up on each other because it's important. But I don't know if I can show it yet, but I hope the next podcast I'm on, I can show it. I did a video, this was probably back in 2009 for the Army. It was maybe 2010. And it was about stigma in the Army. And I was one of the first videos I did. And I talked about my suicide attempt. And a good friend of mine, Tom Campbell, who's been on the show, who's also a suicide attempt survivor, speaks like I do, just retired, still does a lot of talking. But he sent me the video tonight. I've never seen the finished project because the Army killed it. But he sent me the video tonight, and I don't know if you can see it. And if Chris, if you can pull it up on the screen, I don't know if you can or not. But if you're not able to, that's fine. I'll show it off my phone. But I wasn't prepared for this. I completely forgot about this. I don't know how I can. Chris, are you able to pull it up, or can I just show it from my phone? Oh, I texted to him. Okay. I'll send it to him on Messenger, see if he can do it. If he can pull it up, great. If he can't, I'll show it next weekend or next show. But I actually showed my original suicide note, and it had been lost. I didn't even know. I forgot that I even had showed it. And so all that happened right before the show, and so that kind of made me pretty emotional to see that and read it. So it's there. I know it's kind of hard to see, but I'll put my glasses on. I can read it to you. It says, I can't live with the guilt anymore of not finding anyone alive. It's too much for me to handle. I am sorry. And back home, I go by Bill because my middle name's William. So that's my original suicide note. That's all my family, what I had. Thank you for doing that, Chris. I appreciate that. That's all they would have gotten me had I been successful that night, had my brother not found me. And it really made me really think about, I talk a lot about self-reflection and accountability and things like that. How much I would have lost. I wouldn't be here, obviously. I would never have started this podcast. And hopefully I help people out there with the things that I do. None of that would ever happen. I would have had my 2 boys. Wouldn't have my wife. Wouldn't have had, my military career and all those other people I would have met. I wouldn't have found out about this great beer that I'm drinking tonight. So that's, you want to talk about self-reflection and looking for something good in 2024. I remember what I was like in 2002 and how messed up I was. And, one thing I talk about is, people ask, why didn't you call anybody? And I think about that a lot because I back then, I wouldn't have called anybody. I was so inside of myself, I didn't think that anybody could help me. I didn't think I wasn't worth it. And I didn't want, to be honest with you, I didn't want anybody around me. I truly was so inside of myself. I wouldn't have called for help. And I didn't, because obviously my brother got that funny feeling at work, and you guys know the story. And of course, if you've read the book, you know it. I wouldn't have. I wouldn't know who I would have called. And so I asked, on the podcast, and I talk about it, is who would you call? Maybe in 2024, your New Year's resolution is find that and have that conversation with that one person that you will call if you're in a moment of crisis. I know who I would call. I got a whole list of people I'd call, a whole bunch of people from Veterans Trash Talk. Hell, I can go out on Veterans Trash Talk on the Facebook page right now and put something out there, and I guarantee you 100 people will answer me back, and I could do that at 2 o'clock in the morning. I know that for a fact. Now, that didn't exist back when I had my issues and problems, but I'm thankful that it exists now because, we have that outlet, and you don't have to feel like I did. And I'm sorry, because the notes brought back a lot of emotions to me tonight. And so I'm going to be a little scattered for a little bit, but I think it's important is I don't ever want to go back to that. I don't ever want to be that person again. I'm not ashamed of that person. And that took a lot for me to get over with and to admit to not to be ashamed of what I went through. I'm not really ashamed. I'm a little embarrassed the fact that I never asked for help until I almost killed myself. I'm not ashamed. I'm embarrassed the fact that I got it to that point. And I hope nowadays, with everything that's gone on, that if somebody is not in a good way, or somebody is, not feeling depressed or upset, or maybe things have gone wrong, your wife left, your dog ran away, your truck won't start, all those things that go on with a country music song, maybe you can just look at things differently and say, hey, maybe I can go out and get that truck fixed, and maybe tomorrow the dog will come back because he's out chasing something. And maybe just to try to find that little bit of positive. Because I think about, and if you ever watch the documentary that the Able channel did on me, and you can still watch it, it's out there. Go to theablechannel.com. It's Surviving Suicide, season 1, episode 1. If you watch that, and the things I talk about, I've never talked about before, but really, it, I don't know, just to be so to the point that you don't want to live. I can't imagine feeling like that now. I don't know. I know it was a process, and I know that, not finding anybody alive and seeing all the things I saw, and it's no different than maybe who's been to war or lost friends or buddies, or maybe somebody out there completed suicide and you was the phone call and you didn't answer. I just I don't know who that guy was. I don't know if I could even think about going back, and I've thought about it a lot. You know, I don't even know who I was at that time, obviously. And that's a hard thing to look at. And I know that, if I go and have issues and problems, and I don't go to therapy. I don't particularly need it right now. I don't think. If I need something, I go see a life coach or something on those lines. Because when I go to therapy, they just want to talk about my suicide attempt, and that is not me anymore. I know that now after reading that note tonight. But I think for anybody who, like me's been to that point, or been almost to that point, um, when you go through recovery, or if you're doing a lot better and things have changed, and let's say you're like me, you're flipping through a book, or somebody sends you a link to a video and you're watching a video. I never saw the finished product till tonight. So they took about 2 hours and condensed it down to 6 minutes. But how do you deal with those thoughts and feelings that came up? And I just watched the video 15 minutes before the show started. So, a while back, it would have had a completely different effect on me than what it did today. I mean, yeah, it upset me and made me think about a lot of things, and, who that person was, and why I didn't call for help, or who I would have called for help. So I hope that maybe you'll pick your phone up. There you go. That's my son. And think about if that was you, and you had just scribbled that message on that napkin, because it was the napkin I wrote on, it wasn't even a freaking piece of paper. If you were at that point, if you were me, I don't want you to be me. That way may be me. Don't be Cliff, because Cliff was a messed up dude. But who would you have called? And if a name comes to your mind, make sure they're in your phone. Make sure you have a conversation with them. Make sure that they put you in your phone as an emergency contact or as a favorite. So if you call in the middle of the night and they have their phone on silent, like you can set your phone on silent, that it'll ring through. I mean, especially for me, because now I'm 6 hours ahead. So if a friend of mine in the States is having issues, and it's, for me, it's almost 10 o'clock at night here, my phone's going to go on silent at 10:30. If they're having issues and problems and I don't, my phone may not ring. Now, if you call me back 3 times in a row, it'll ring, because that's the way it's set up on my phone. But if I don't have it set up that way, then it'll never ring, and then I'll just get a message the next day. But if that happens to you, if you're that person who just wrote that note, and I've talked about this before, is don't take that as a sign. Just call somebody else, or call 988, or text 741 home to 741. Don't take that as a sign for you to complete what you just wrote on that note, like I wrote on that note. Don't take that as a sign. It's not a sign. Trust me. As somebody who's been there, that's not a sign. Because even though, now see, I said I didn't call anybody, but I did call somebody, because I don't remember making the phone call. But in my state of almost losing my conscience, I did call the hospital. How they ever got to my brother, and I hung up when he got on the phone, and that's why he came to the house. That's in the book. So I guess I did call somebody. I called him. I just thought about that, but I don't remember calling him, because the drugs have already taken effect on me. So my brain subconsciously called the hospital. I don't even know how I got the number, because there wasn't cell phones back then. Well, there was, but there wasn't like there are nowadays. But, hey, have that person that you can call, have a conversation with them, and maybe you have a buddy or friend that's going through a lot right now, and just let them know, hey, look, I know you're going through a lot of stuff right now. If you need somebody to talk to, if you got to reach out to somebody, hey, feel free to call me. I'll be there for you. But I just need to know, so I can make sure that, I can reach out to you. Yeah, well, that's true, Brian. It can be, but to a person, they don't think of it that way. Their mind's thinking differently than that. But yeah, that's a yes. It's for people who are left behind by suicide. They feel that was a very selfish decision, but the person who's going through that, they don't think that, but they feel that pain for the rest of their life. And you do transfer it to somebody else. You're absolutely correct. And that's a hard thing. It's like they say all the time, is every roughly 42 seconds somebody completes suicide, and every 43 seconds for the rest of their lives somebody wonders they could have done something differently. So, thank you for saying that, Brian. You guys are absolutely correct. That's something that people don't get over, and I've talked about stories that I've come across people who, it's the anniversary of their brother completing suicide. Or when I was down in Hampton, Sydney, doing a speaking event, a buddy had a friend of his from high school they hadn't talked to in a couple of years call him and then complete suicide after he didn't answer their phone. Don't know if he was the last phone call or not, but it upset that kid, and he was having a lot of issues from that. And I had a sidebar with him about it, and said, hey, it's not your fault. You're not the reason why. And you don't know why he was calling you. You have no idea. So don't let that ruin your life, because I'm pretty sure your friend probably wouldn't want that either. So hopefully, I think that made him feel better. And I did follow up with the school, and they said he seemed to be doing better. But it's tough. But just realize, and I say this a lot, and I'm going to wrap this up here in a minute, is even if you don't think you're important to somebody. Somebody loves you. Somebody wants you here tomorrow. And I know you're going through a lot of shit right now, and I know you are very confused and you're very upset and you're very depressed and a lot of things running through your mind. Don't be the person that wrote that note that I just showed. Call somebody, ask for help, because I guarantee you life will get better and things will get better, even if you don't think they are. And they will. But yeah, that's a good point, and that's something I had to get over. Took me a long time, Brian, to get over not feeling ashamed of my suicide attempt. But yeah, you're right. I survived, and I survived for a reason. I'm here doing this for a reason. But hey, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. It's been a great show. Hope you got something out of it. Sorry I went on a little tangent there with the suicide note, but I just felt it was important to show because January is a rough month. Please remember, if you didn't catch all the podcasts, or you can follow back up on it, or tell one of your friends about it. You can see me listen to it on Reach Across America Radio. It shows up Friday at 8 p.m. and Sundays at 10 p.m. They're doing some mixing around with the program, but just log on to your favorite your app that you listen to. It's iHeartRadio app, Odyssey app, or TuneIn app. Search for Reach Across America Radio, and you can find it. I do know it plays at Sunday at 10 p.m. I'm not too sure it's still doing it on Fridays because, like I said, they're mixing the schedule up. That's normal for radio programs, as anybody knows. But hey, be sure to go out and check out 4patriots.com. It's scrolling down at the bottom. And then once they officially start back up the Reads Across America for their promotions, it's up there on the left-hand corner that you see with the WAA. I think it's still good to donate for Reeds for the soldiers for next year to Arlington Cemetery. That's where mine is. I get a drink. Be sure to go out to VeteranTrashTalk.com. We all have our great shirts out there. And yes, I've been wearing them here in Italy. I need to get some shirts made that in Italian so they can understand what they say. So that might be kind of fun too. But thanks for tuning in. I hope everybody has a great week. And let's take care of us. We are our brothers and sisters keepers out there. And let's have a good, safe, and fun 2024. And hopefully next week I'll show that video I talked about. Take care. Talk to you later.
Thanks for watching and listening. And now a word from our sponsor, 4Patriots. In a startling description, the UN food chief warned the world with the words, knocking on famine's door. He called what we're facing a perfect storm of a perfect storm. And he's not alone. Barron's published that a food shortage could be coming, even in the U.S. Farmers see it too. John Boyd Jr., a fourth-generation farmer, told Fox News that we're going to see empty food shelves in the coming months. That's why getting survival food is more important than ever now. Create your own stockpile of the best-selling 4Patriots survival food kits. It's not ordinary food. We're talking good for 25 years super survival food, hand-packed in a family-owned facility in the USA and giving jobs to over 200 Americans. They have different delicious breakfasts, lunches, dinners. You can make these meals in less than 20 minutes. Just add boiling water, simmer, and serve. And right now, for the next few days, listeners of the Veteran Trash Talk podcast will get 10% off their first order at 4patriots.com by using the code VTTGW. Go to 4patriots.com and use the code VTTGW